Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a final diagnosis and review of the Hinderer Gen 2 Eclipse. This is a special knife to me because my very first sort of high-end knife was the Zero Tolerance 0392. This was the first knife that I kind of spent stupid money on. I spent over $400 to buy this knife. I fell in love with the design. And it really introduced me to the world of high-end knives. I learned more about Rick Hinderer as a designer and as a maker. I gained an appreciation for higher-end custom knives, and it has really blossomed from there. I would say that this has definitely been my gateway knife. But I've always been intrigued by the mother of the 0392, and that is the Hinderer Eklipse. So the 0392s were a collaborative effort between ZT and knife maker Rick Hinderer. And so I just needed to experience the actual Eclipse model. Now, this is the Generation 2. I never owned a Generation 1 Eclipse. They were out of production by the time that I started getting interested in knives, and I didn't find one at a reasonable price on the secondary market. And I thought the 0392s were pretty good for a while, but when I saw that they were releasing the Generation 2s, I got really intrigued. I have to give a shout out to my good man, Madman, who offered to buy this knife off of me if I wanted to pick it up. And I've gained a lot of knowledge by owning this knife, so I really appreciate that opportunity there, Madman. Thank you very much. Before we go any further into discussing the points on this knife, let's talk about it anatomically. Up front, we've got a 3.5-inch blade of CPM S35VN, which is the standard fare on any Hinderer knife. It's done in Hinderer's nice mirrored stonewash finish. I do really like that finish on this knife. I don't really like DLCs or working finishes. I feel that those would show marks a little bit more than this one. And it's just prettier. It kind of shines in the sunlight, and it's really pretty. This is done in the trailing point type of blade. It's basically a modified Bowie. I don't have my 0392 Bowie with me right now. That one is off with Fanatic Edge getting customized. It will be back soon, and I will get these two on camera together for a comparison. But I do like this blade shape a lot. It's very functional. I really like the fact that it's not a tanto. I find tantos to be a little bit aggressive in the public forum. People get a little bit more intimidated. It looks a bit more like a weapon rather than a tool. And also, in terms of functionality, I like to have a belly on the blade. That point on the tanto kind of has me worried sometimes that it's going to chip or fold or something if I give it too much pressure. So I really enjoy that. Now, the blade stock is a bit thick. This is a standard Hinderer blade stock. I believe it's 0.16 inches. And so it's not the best slicer in the world, but it is great for EDC tasks. It'll cut through cardboard, paper, rope, whatever else you throw at it, but it may not be the best thing to slice an apple with, and we all know that about Hinderers, and that is fine. That's not what it was designed to do. This is a tactical knife at its core, so it will play in that role very well. It's meant for first responders, police officers, military, etc., and it will fill that role beautifully. It's got a nice amount of jimping on the top there with a great thumb ramp for traction. It's got a nice forward finger guard in terms of that flipper and the way that it sits right there. We're used to that with all Hinderer flippers. It's got a nice sharpening choil in case you want to sharpen it, and sharpen it you will need to do. Like my XM18 Fatty Warncliffe, this knife did not come very sharp from the factory. The grind bevels are a bit uneven from one side to the other. And I'm just going to be honest about that. My XM18 did not come particularly sharp. Both of those knives required a couple of passes on my Spyderco Sharpmaker to really get to a functional sharpness. I was a bit disappointed by that, considering that you're spending over $400 to pick this knife up, and then to customize it further like I've done, it costs over $550. So if you're going to make a knife, it better be sharp, if nothing else. And honestly, this one did not come sharp. I'll just say I was a bit disappointed by that. Perhaps you've had that experience with other Hinderers as well. Moving back, we'll talk about the pivot. This is an important thing to understand on this knife. Like all other Hinderers, this knife came on Teflon washers. I'm not a particularly big fan of Teflon washers. While I have not had any failures with them on the Hinderer knives, I'm just not really very interested in knowing that there are some cheap plastic washers that are on this thing. So, if you watched my full bronze conversion video, I have replaced the Teflon washers with some pretty sweet phosphor bronze washers in there. I picked those up from a guy named Jurassic.Blades on Instagram. He'll sell them to you for about $10. and he'll send you an extra pair for whatever other knives you might want to put those in on. I will say that the action is basically the same as it was on the Teflon washers. I don't know that it's significantly improved. I have been flipping this knife enough to have broken it in at this point. I've had it for a few weeks now and riding on those washers now for a few weeks. Definitely flipped a few hundred times while on those washers. The action is incredible. The detent is really, really good. Don't worry about this not flipping. Don't let anyone convince you that Hinderers don't flip, because they really do. If you know how to flip a knife, this thing really does flip. So I like the action. It does work. It does close smoothly. I can throw it down. It will go fast enough to bump off the detent ball. And, you know, it's smooth enough. But phosphor bronze washers don't necessarily improve the action of the knife, but what they might do is improve the durability of the knife in the sense that those won't break down over time. It's got a nice big pivot screw here. It's got the Hinderer pivot that we've all come to know and love. Nice fat pivot there, stainless steel, riding on stainless steel. Can't complain about that at all. Moving back to the frame here, let's just take a minute to appreciate the beauty of this bronzed frame. I do like that Hinderer offers a lot of finishes on their frames. They have a blue one. They have these battle bronze and battle blue. They've got some green ones. They've got some different finishes with DLC and other kinds of things. Battlefield pickup finishes going around right now. You just gotta love that they offer in a bunch of different finishes, and you can make your knife very unique. They also offer a lot of customization options. You can go to their website or other major knife retailers like Blade HQ or other places like that, and they sell a lot of Hinderer Eklipse hardware. And it's really nice. I completely changed the look of this knife by adding those bronze pieces. Go and check out my video on that for more information. I also really like that this knife came with this flat dark earth and alternating black G10 scale. Looking at it, especially from this angle, is just particularly beautiful. It's got a really nice look to it with that bronzed frame and the bronze hardware now. I think that the hardware really takes it to that next level. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. Let's talk about it in terms of EDC ability. It comes in at about 4.8 ounces. The handle's about 4.75 inches. Looking at about an overall length of somewhere just north of 8 inches, and it's a nice size for me. I really, really like that. It fits in my hand really well. That was the one thing I liked about the 0392s. Just seems to fit my hand freaking perfectly, and I really, really like that. I don't even need a forward finger choil. The angle on these knives really allows you to get in there and work from this setting and this setting only. Now, you kind of are restricted only to that one handle setting, but the ergonomics are out of this world. That thumb divot right there is just perfect. I really love that. You gotta feel it to understand it. Again, it comes in around 4.8 ounces. That's a nice weight for me. I prefer to have it around 4 to 5 ounces. Let's bring out a couple of other knives for a size comparison. Right here, I've got a Spyderco Para 3. That's a 3-inch blade. We've got a ZT-0850 going on there as 3.75-inch blade. Just a couple of quick references if you have some of these in your collection. Maybe more of you have a Para 3 than don't. Unfortunately, I don't have my Para 2. That one is gone forever. And I should probably get some other reference knives. Name some knives you might want to see as reference points on my channel. The pocket clip on Hinderer knives are perfection to me. I really love them. Those 2 screws, just pulling the thing out of the pocket is beautiful. I just can't complain. I have that same kind of clip on my Curtis Knives F3, and you just gotta love it. It's just highly, highly functional and no frills. You can, of course, customize the clip almost like everything else on the knife. They do sell scales and other things, but that will drive up the cost very quickly. So let's get into my final diagnosis and explanation. So my final diagnosis is this is not a 0392. The 0392 is better. Let's just be honest. For $400, you're getting 204p, you're getting ball bearings, you're getting a full titanium frame, and you're getting an action that cannot be denied. You're getting a more aesthetically pleasing knife most of the time. Some of the combos I didn't really like, but what can you do about it? This knife costs over $550 for all the mods that I've done, and it's still not as smooth, it's still not as sharp, and the materials still aren't as nice. So that is my final diagnosis on this knife, guys. If you love Hinderer, go and pick one up. This knife is really, really nice. You can add it to your Hinderer collection, but I'll just say the ZT is still superior. Go check me out at Dr. Frunkey on Instagram. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and this is Dr. Frunkey saying, take care.